Bullets fly during an early morning shooting at a motel parking lot downtown, leaving one person hurt. Now police are looking for two people. Our Alicia Barrera has the latest this noon.
A suspect tries to take off with jewelry from a store at Ingram Park Mall. He doesn't make it too far, where police were able to catch the man and the charges he's now facing.
Live from KSAT 12, the news at noon starts right now.
A search now underway to arrest two suspects who shot a man in the parking lot of a motel downtown early this morning.
Police called out to the 1600 block of North St. Mary's, not far from the Pearl. As Alicia Barrera reports, officers don't have a lot of information to go on right now.
Guests looked out from the second floor of the Super 8 motel, wondering what went wrong overnight.
About 3:58 a.m., officers got a call for someone shot in the parking lot.
The victim, a 20-year-old man, was shot in the leg, and police say he had been staying in one of the rooms with his family.
His family said he just stepped out for a minute. He didn't tell them anything about where he was going or who he was going to meet or anything like that.
A motive for the shooting hasn't been determined, and the victim claims he didn't know the suspects.
He went to the car, talked to him for a few minutes, and then they basically shot him from the window.
The surveillance cameras throughout the property of this downtown motel could play a big role in determining who these suspects are and in what type of vehicle they took off in after shooting the victim. In the motel lobby, management allowed officers to review surveillance footage. However, Detective Soto says the quality of the video wasn't very good, saying they couldn't make out the color of the getaway vehicle.
They fled the location eastbound from this location toward downtown.
The victim's gunshot wound is non-life threatening, and he's now at Brooke Army Medical Center in stable condition. Alicia Barrera, KSAT 12 News.
New at noon, a suspect grabs gold chains from a jewelry store inside Ingram Park Mall and then makes a run for it without paying for them. Now he's facing charges. It happened yesterday just before 7 p.m. Police tell us the suspect, 19-year-old Sergio de Alba, walked into RBS Jewelry and pretended to be shopping. That's when he's accused of grabbing gold chains from the owner and then running off. The owner's son chased the suspect all the way to the parking lot. Officers were able to get de Alba pointed. They say that de Alba pointed a gun at the owner's son. Before he continued running, he was eventually caught by police on the corner of Northwest Loop 410 and Claver Road. He was charged with aggravated robbery.
Also due at noon, a child in critical condition after a driver slammed into her bedroom, pinning her under his car. That man was arrested by Kerrville police. Officers tell us that Isaac Barboza Jr. was driving in the 500 block of Leland Street in Kerrville when he veered off the road and hit a home. The car plunged into one of the bedrooms, hurting an 88-year-old girl, pinning that 8-year-old under his truck. Police, firefighters, and an off-duty deputy all helped to get the little girl free. She was rushed to a nearby hospital and was eventually flown to a hospital here in San Antonio. Barbosa was charged with intoxication assault with a vehicle, causing serious bodily injury. A man stabbed in the neck during a robbery attempt just after midnight and this noon. The people responsible still have not been caught. Officers say that they were called to War Cloud Street and Old Pearsall Road early this morning. That's on the southwest side of town. Police tell us two people walked up to a 30-year-old man and demanded cash. He told them he didn't have any. That's when officers say one of the suspects stabbed the man in the back of the neck with a sharp object. The suspects drove away. The victim walked to a nearby store to find some help. He was taken to the hospital, and at last check, he was in stable condition.
Election day will be here before you know it, and it's important for voters to stay well informed. And until then, we are working to find out what role propaganda will play ahead of the upcoming election, especially when it comes to what we see on social media. This afternoon, our own Steve Priester is talking to an expert about this issue. We will live stream the discussion with Trinity professor Aaron Delwicki about computational propaganda, COVID-19, and the assault on democracy. The live stream starts at 2 o'clock this afternoon. We want to include your questions. You can submit them right now on KSAT.com, and you can watch the live stream there as well. The coronavirus crisis still unfolding in Bexar County. Mayor Ron Nirenberg says the latest report added 325 more cases to COVID-19. That means since the pandemic started, 41,939 in Bexar County have been diagnosed with the virus. This 7-day rolling average is 332 cases. The mayor also reported 12 more deaths, bringing the death toll up to 406 now. 801 people are in the hospital, with 345 in the ICU and 238 on ventilators. Currently, 13% of hospital beds are available.
For the first time in nearly 5 months, visitors will be allowed in Texas nursing homes on a limited basis. That's according to state health officials. Governor Greg Abbott shut down visitation to nursing homes back in mid-March. At long-term care facilities, some indoor visits will be permitted, provided there are plexiglass barriers. There also can't be any active cases of COVID-19 among residents or staff. State officials say that visitors can still have physical contact with residents. July showed a small climb for jobs gains. It's a sign that the road ahead is long as the country continues to grapple with the effects of the coronavirus pandemic. Still, July numbers were better than some economists had feared. ABC's Deidre Bolton has more.
The recovery will not be slow and steady. It will be slow and bumpy. While July's data was better than expected, it shows there's a long road ahead. More jobs were added to the U.S. economy than forecast in July, and the unemployment rate went down to 10.2%, also better than forecast. But more than 1 million Americans have lost their jobs every week for the last 20 weeks, an unprecedented number. Last week alone, 1.2 million people in this country filed new claims for unemployment benefits, 6 times more than in a normal era. Many families are struggling from increased bills.
On average, a family of 7, we were spending about $250 a week. But with COVID, you started stocking up a little bit more. So I'm definitely spending closer to like $350, $400.
Experts say if you're having a tough time paying your bills, ask for an extension, ask for a deferment, or if your bill can be cut into 6 or 12 payments. More than 30 million families were receiving extra support from that extra $600 per week payment. But that federal aid expired last week. Lawmakers disagree on the form of a new relief package.
When they come to the table and are like $600, how could it be? They're just demonstrating their condescension to America's working families. There are all kinds of reasons that weigh in on this pandemic, but none of them is, I want to stay home because I make more money this way than other.
As for Republicans, some workers were earning more at home than they would have at work, and that is contentious.
We just don't think it's remotely fair for the federal government to tax essential workers who kept working every day so that Uncle Sam can pay their neighbors a higher salary to stay home.
As for the president, he's likely to sign an order extending the enhanced unemployment benefits and imposing a payroll tax holiday.
Economists agree there are 3 key parts to sustaining this economic recovery: the virus and our response to it, whether or not people feel confident to spend. That's a huge part of our economy. And then the government's response and the economic hole that we are currently digging ourselves out from. Deirdre Bolton, ABC News, New York.
Back here at home, during the pandemic, some college students may be struggling to pay for school. Well, now some students at Texas A&M San Antonio are getting a much-needed boost. More than $200,000 will be used to help low-income and first-generation college students. That money comes from the Department of Education's TRIO program. The $261,888 in federal grants aim to help students stay on track to graduate.
This weekend, you could score some free Whataburger, and you get to save on back-to-school supplies. We're going to show you how in our Friday freebies.
Portland's Damian Lillard went off from three-point land last night. That helped Portland, but it hurt the Spurs. Larry with that coming up.
It's not just Broadway that has put live in-person performances on hold amid the pandemic. A local theater also took a hit. How Woodlawn Theater is getting a little creative now.
Plenty of deals and steals this Friday, some just in time for the new school year. A Texas favorite celebrating its 70th anniversary, and Whataburger wants you to celebrate with them with free food. The fast food chain offering a buy one, get one free Whataburger deal now through Sunday. You can find the coupon on the Whataburger app. And how about free coffee and donuts? Members of the Dunkin' Donuts Rewards program can start their week with free caffeine and end it on a sweet note with a free donut. Dunkin' Donuts is offering members a free medium hot or iced coffee with the purchase of a food item on August 10th and August 17th. Free Donut Fridays will include a free classic donut on August 7th, 14th, and 21st, but you're going to have to buy a drink to get the donut. Teachers can take a break from the hectic back-to-school planning by heading over to the San Antonio Zoo, where it is Teacher Appreciation Month. All month long, teachers can get in for free, plus 50% off the admission price for up to 4 guests. And it is tax-free weekend. During the annual event, shoppers can save about $8 for every $100 spent on qualifying items. This weekend, you can skip the tax on clothes, shoes, backpacks, and school supplies as long as each item costs less than $100. Tax-free weekend ends on August 9th, and if you want to see a full list of what's tax-exempt right now, just head to KSAT.com. Max Massey, KSAT 12 News.
Woodlawn Theater is still trying to entertain the community despite the pandemic, and that is why it is introducing a new virtual series with cast reunion performances. The theater was set to open this summer for its summer show series, but of course it was abruptly halted in March. Executive Artistic Director Christopher Rodriguez says this show will feature performers from its Beauty and the Beast production. The show kicks off tonight at 7 o'clock on Zoom with recorded and live performances.
We're doing it just so people know that the Woodlawn and theater is still around. This is a hard time for all theaters, like you said, in our city, our state, across the country, across the world. So we just want people to know that we are still out there. We're trying to continue our mission. We're trying to entertain, educate, and enrich our community.
This is a fundraiser. It'll cost you $5. You can find the links to buy tickets to the virtual series right now on KSAT.com.
Outside with live cam, we've had 100+ days a couple of times, but today may not be that day, and tomorrow maybe even cooler.
Okay, David, let's be.
It's up here. It's all mental.
98, 99 instead of 100. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're right. You're right. Nicer to see those upper 90s versus just straight 100s across the board. I'm with you. Okay, yeah. David, the attitude we need going into the weekend, I like it. So let's check on the aquifer. It's down 0.3 of a foot since yesterday. And in the pollen count, mold is down a bit from where it was yesterday, still moderate. Pigweed showed up today as well, but it's low with a count of just 10. I'll be right back with a look at your full forecast.
Do we need to call for a fact check on this cool front business?
Oh my goodness.
I'm just trying to go at it at a different angle.
Well, you know, anything to cheer up the population in regard to the weather, because it has been oppressively hot this week.
I know, it has been hot, and it'll be staying toasty into the weekend, but we won't be breaking records, so there you go. Pretty seasonable temperature-wise, actually, as we head into the weekend and even next week. There is a little slim, tiny chance that maybe we get a stray shower to jump up to the I-35 corridor tomorrow. Other than that, really the only chance of rain in the forecast will just be for our coastal counties. Some afternoon coastal showers will start to kind of kick that pattern in, really beginning today. There could be some showers down on the coast. Radar's pretty quiet right now. We've got some fair weather cumulus clouds all the way from the Edwards Plateau to the I-35 corridor and the coastal bend. Couple little showers down by Corpus Christi. Otherwise, pretty quiet radar-wise. And as we take a zoom out here, I want you to kind of notice how we've got some precip over in New Mexico, also into Oklahoma, dropping down into a portion of Arkansas. But in Texas, it's pretty quiet. Well, that's because the upper-level winds, mid and upper-level winds in the atmosphere are kind of steering everything around the Lone Star State. And guess what is centered right there? Yeah, our friend, the heat high. It'll be hanging pretty close this weekend, and so it's going to just keep our weather pretty seasonable for this time of year, very summer-like. Now, as we get into the back half of next week, models are suggesting that the heat high will start to take a little trip off to the west coast. That could open the door for maybe a couple of little subtle disturbances to drop down into central and south Texas. I think really back half of next week. Don't see anything too promising for next work week at this time, but if we can get that to move away, that will really at least introduce the opportunity for some lower end rain chances. So that heat high won't be staying with us forever, but it'll be close this weekend. So that'll keep us in the upper 90s. Yes, not 100, but 98 tomorrow, 99 your forecast high on Sunday. 10% chance of a stray shower tomorrow. We could get one of those coastal sea breeze showers to sneak up to the I-35 corridor. I do think a better opportunity for that will be in place on Saturday, Sunday. Rain chances will be limited down to the coastal bend. Here's a look at your air temperatures as compared to the heat index. So air temperature is in white, heat index or the feels like temperature, that's the number in yellow. So feeling like 97 here in San Antonio. Down in Beeville, already feeling like 110. It's not great. And look, the air temperature is 93. Blech. Don't like that at all. 93 in Pleasanton. 103 your feels like temperature there in Atascosa County. Heat index readings not quite so bad. Up in the hill country, you've got some slightly lower dew points there, but just keep in mind through the weekend, especially if you're down along and southeast of I-35, your heat index readings could be jumping up well above 100, maybe 105 plus in the afternoons this weekend. So if you're going to be spending a lot of time outdoors, have that sunscreen and also have that water handy. Stay nice and hydrated. Here's the rest of your Friday. 96 at 2 o'clock. High temperature right around 99 this afternoon. We'll have some fair weather clouds through the afternoon hours. Then this evening, we'll see nice clear skies with a nice breeze in place for the rest of the day as well. I should mention we'll have a nice breeze even through the weekend in the afternoon and evening hours. So that'll be pretty nice. So we've got that chance of a little stray shower sneaking up to I-35 tomorrow. However, it looks like for the rest of the weekend and next week, really just better chances of some coastal showers in the forecast. So we're giving you a few days here with a break from the triple
4-day break. We like it. Thank you, Katie.
You know, we've been talking about how strange this season is. The Spurs are playing right now.
Yeah.
You can believe that or not. Yeah, exactly.
They started at noon, right?
Tipped off about 10 minutes ago, I think. So 1 o'clock Eastern time, noon here. And so far, so good against the Utah Jazz. The Jazz, though, sitting some of their starters out. Coming up, we're going to take a look at Derek White, who has this knack for drawing charges. Plus, in the bigs, well, the Astros are a snake bit in Arizona. Coming up. San Antonio Spurs are facing the Utah Jazz right now on game day, which will give Derek White more chances to take charges, creating an offensive foul on the Jazz. A week ago today, White drew 5 charging fouls against the Sacramento Kings. Wednesday, he got 2 more against the Denver Nuggets. White just putting his body on the line to try to help the Spurs win.
I mean, get to the stop, so that's always huge. Gets them a foul, might put them in foul trouble or whatever it might be. So
he puts his body on the line a lot more than probably what he is given credit for. You know, the last few games, obviously he's been rewarded in charges, but he's been doing that for a long time. You know, and it's just one of those things that can trigger, you know, the other guys to get in that same mindset of playing tough physical defense.
Utah is 5th in the West and playing without 4 starters today, sitting Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert, Royce O'Neal, and Mike Conley Jr. for various reasons. The Spurs are down Bryn Forbes and Tyler Zeller, and the Spurs are up 13-6 early in the first quarter. We'll have more later in the show. Trailblazers guard Damian Lillard is dominating the bubble. Last night against the Denver Nuggets, Dame was darn near unstoppable, pulling up for a 36-foot 3 and splashing. It's just crazy silly. Lillard scored a whopping 45 points to go with 12 assists and 3 steals. He shot 13 for 21 overall while going 11 of 13 from three-point range, tying his franchise record for made threes. Portland wins 125-115, getting closer to the 8th seed in the West. And Dame said he only wanted to go to Orlando with a shot to make the playoffs.
It was also why I said what I said, you know, months ago, when I said if we don't have a chance to compete for a playoff spot, I don't want to play, because I knew that if we did have a chance to play for a playoff spot, you know, it would look something like it looks right now, because we are a more healthy team. You know, we are more rested, and I knew what our team was doing. Guys was, you know, getting conditioning in, and we stayed in contact. As soon as we opened up our facility, guys were there every day. You know, I knew that once we got here, you know, we would be one of the teams that could take advantage of it. And so far we have.
Portland is now just 1.5 game behind 8th place Memphis, who has to be feeling the heat. Phoenix is 10th, while the Spurs are now 11th in the West, just 2 games back. Houston and Arizona closing out their 3-game series yesterday. Bottom of the 9th, bases loaded. Diamondbacks are down 1 when Cole Calhoun singles to deep right field, driving in 2 runs for a walk-off win. Calhoun's only hit of the game was clutch. Arizona takes it 5-4, winning the series 2-1 for their first series win this season. Houston will start a 3-game series at Oakland later tonight. And Texas at Oakland yesterday in the finale of that series. Bottom of the 7th, A's up 1 and batting. Sean Murphy comes up with an RBI single up the middle under a diving Elvis Andrus. Oakland goes up 2, and that's it. Oakland wins at home 6-4 to sweep the 3-game set. Texas is 3-8, and they will host the Angels tonight.
Back to the Spurs for a second. You figure the way Portland's playing, the way Phoenix is playing, they've won 4 straight.
Yeah.
The Spurs are going to have to win out, aren't they?
I think so, and still hope that Memphis loses some games because they're still winless inside the bubble. And Portland needs to cool off just a bit.
Just a bit. So, all right, Larry. We'll catch that update coming up in the next half hour. Thank you. Lebanon now left to clean up the rubble from that deadly explosion in Beirut earlier this week. Still ahead, how other countries are coming together to help in every way they can.
A local pitmaster sharing his journey and his love of barbecue in one of our KSAT originals, where you can watch this story and more. It's in our weekly roundup of live streaming options.
The coronavirus pandemic has now killed more than 715,000 people worldwide. In the United States, new predictions that the death toll could reach 300,000 by December. ABC's Andrew Dimbert has the latest on how the safety of sending kids back to school during the pandemic is a major concern among parents.
The coronavirus crisis continues here in the U.S. with little signs of slowing. New research from the University of Washington predicting the death toll in America could reach 300,000 by December. Dr. Deborah Birx issuing a warning to several cities and California's Central Valley that their increase in positive COVID cases could be an early sign of a new surge. And now Ohio Governor Mike DeWine confirms he's negative for the coronavirus. He was first tested as part of a routine screening just before he was set to meet with President Trump and gave a false positive.
And when I got to the airport, found out shortly thereafter that I had tested positive. So that was a big surprise.
There is some hope on the horizon. An internal FEMA memo obtained by ABC News suggests confirmed cases are coming down, and the nation may be coming off the peak of the national surge. But deaths are still climbing. CDC models forecast up to 190,000 American lives lost by the end of the month. These latest figures come as schools weigh the risk of getting kids back into the classroom. Questions over safety are growing.
I saw many people were not wearing masks, and it was making me feel really unsafe and uncomfortable to be in school.
Several school districts across the country have already reopened their doors. Some systems, like in Paulding County, Georgia, are struggling with their decisions. A high school student whose mother claims she was suspended for sharing these images of a packed hallway was just reinstated Friday morning. Teachers from all over America are protesting in-class learning as the pandemic rages on.
I teach high school. I've got 39 kids in a class. It's just not going to happen.
In Alabama, an entire high school football team is in quarantine after an outbreak. In Mississippi, a middle school football coach died while quarantining for COVID-19 symptoms. And Texas, now one of the nation's coronavirus hotspots, is battling a surge in hospitalizations and deaths.
24 hours, you can go from walking around to be intubated and actually in another 24 hours be dead.
Public health experts and scientists developing vaccines for COVID-19 say that they're confident one will be available by 2021. This in response to claims made by President Trump that a vaccine could be ready by November 3rd, Election Day. Andrew Dimber, ABC News, Washington.
In Portland, protesters and police went head-to-head again one day after police declared a riot. Protesters again tried to burn down a precinct and damage police cars. One officer severely injured by a thrown rock. The mayor of Portland, who once stood with the protesters as they were tear gassed, is now saying they're only helping President Trump's reelection. He also warned that they are no longer demonstrating. They are attempting to commit murder for trying to burn offices inside the precinct house.
Homeland Security investigators say they have found an unfinished tunnel stretching from San Luis Arizona, all the way to Mexico. They say it appears to be, quote, the most sophisticated tunnel in U.S. history, end quote. And they say the tunnel was intended for smuggling. It had a ventilation system, water lines, electrical wiring, a rail system, and extensive reinforcement. Homeland Security investigators found the tunnel in late July after a sinkhole was discovered in the area.
Overseas, the country of Lebanon is now in the rebuilding stages after that massive deadly explosion in Beirut earlier this week.
Several other countries stepping in to do what they can to repair the damage. UN organizations appealing for $15 million in emergency trauma and humanitarian health support. The World Food Program donating 5,000 food packages to families in Beirut.
Saudi Arabia sent 2 planes to Lebanon full of more than 120 tons of medicine, medical devices, emergency supplies for the people affected by the explosion. However, it's now also a major concern for the spread of the coronavirus in the areas that are affected.
Live look outside. We're looking at a few clouds. You know, if you squint, these look like thunderheads, Katie. Like they could produce some rain.
You've got to squint real hard. Yeah, I don't think we'll get any rain.
Are we going to lose that fact check as well?
Yeah. Well, they're trying, and I really appreciate it. I wish we could get some rain going. Unfortunately, it's going to be really hard to come by for, probably another week or so. 91 at the airport right now, but these fair weather cumulus clouds, I like to call these little cotton ball clouds, they can provide some of Mother Nature's shade if you find yourself under one of them. So it's not all bad out there. Upper 80s in the hill country, 84 in Rock Springs, 92 in Del Rio, 93 down in Beeville. So we've got an air temperature in the low 90s, but because our dew point is still pretty elevated, right at 70 degrees, our heat index is already up to 97 here in San Antonio. We'll see it go over 100 degrees here in the Alamo City. So another hot afternoon, but I think our saving grace again today will be a nice breeze out of the south-southeast, but that breeze also keeping our moisture and our dew points high. Here's your temperature outlook for the next several days. Yeah, not a whole lot of change here. Upper 90s, that's nice, but we've got a couple more triple digits on the board as we get into the middle of next week. But our average high this time of year is 97, and that's where we max out for the year as far as our average high temperatures are concerned. So climatologically speaking, we are at our highest point or our hottest point in the year as we get into the middle of this month. By the end of this month, this is kind of cool to think about. And David was talking about, it's mental, it's keeping things, positive. By the end of this month, August 31st, our average high will be down to 94, mid 90s. So there you go. Something to look forward to over the next few weeks. I do think a few lucky folks could see a spotty afternoon shower this weekend. We'll take a look at your futurecast and get you ready for your upcoming weekend coming up in just a bit. Guys.
Thank you so much, Katie. In your consumer news, the United States adding 1.8 million jobs in July. This comes as the nation continues to struggle with rising coronavirus cases, with many employers reluctant to hire many. The economy has now recovered about 42% of the 22 million jobs it has lost during the pandemic-induced recession, and that's according to the Labor Department's jobs report.
Capital One facing an $80 million fine after a data breach. According to the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency, the bank failed to create strong risk assessment processes. They say Capital One also failed to fix deficiencies in a timely fashion. The U.S. Treasury will be paid the penalty. The bank also required to give quarterly updates to federal officials regarding the actions it takes following the order. Still to come, Larry Mayer coming back with a story about Patty Mills using these 8 games to try and help the young guys on the Spurs.
And an unlikely friendship leads 2 men on a path to live life to the fullest. A preview of the Peanut Butter Falcon. That's the name of it. And a look at our newest streaming options.
Streaming right now, young activists trying to make a difference in our community.
Plus, a new documentary series aiming to tackle the immigration system in the U.S.
With a look at some of the content you can binge watch this weekend, here's Sarah Costa.
Now streaming on the KSAT TV app, the latest episode of KSAT Explains. This week, the team takes a deep dive into the race to find an effective coronavirus vaccine. Stream new episodes of KSAT Explains each Thursday.
The John Lewises of today, they're here, they're out there. They are men and women. They are the young, ambitious activists. They are the radical registrars. They are the reliable revolutionaries. They're everybody who has decided that this is bigger than themselves. That's who John Lewis is today.
As former U.S. Representative and civil rights leader John Lewis was laid to rest last week, a group of young activists from San Antonio are following in their footsteps, marching for justice and stressing the power of voting. In this KSAT TV Extra, watch extended interviews with radical registrars and the reliable revolutionaries, two local civil rights groups fighting for change.
And as cheesy as it sounds, you gotta love what you do, and you have to put that into what it is that you're doing.
And check out this KSAT original. In it, you'll meet the owner and cook at 2M Smokehouse, Isaul Ramos. The pitmaster tells us he honed his skills in Austin before coming back home to San Antonio to share his passion for good food with the Alamo City. Find the story on KSAT TV app, available on most streaming devices.
Why can't this mom, who's been through hell, just live with her kids now? If I got them, my life will be complete again.
A new documentary series on Netflix aims to tackle the broken immigration system in the United States. Each episode of The Immigration Nation provides a look at the ongoing struggle people on all sides of the issue face each day.
You have a young boy with Down syndrome in the middle of nowhere.
All right, well, while you've been doing paperwork, we've been doing something called living.
The Peanut Butter Falcon hits Hulu and Amazon Prime today. The movie starring Shia LaBeouf and Dakota Johnson premiered at film festivals late last year. It tells the story of a young man with Down syndrome chasing his dream of becoming a pro wrestler and the unlikely friendship he develops along the way.
Is this your father? No, that's David Bowie. Is this your mother? No, that's also David Bowie. That whole poster is David Bowie.
Seth Rogen pulls double duty in this silly comedy. He plays a man who falls into a vat of pickles and is preserved for 100 years. And when he wakes up, he reconnects with his great-grandson, also played by Rogen. You can catch An American Pickle on HBO Max. I'm Sarah Acosta, KSAT 12 News.
The opponents, where are they? They passed.
Welcome back to the news at noon, 12:44 and 91 degrees at the airport in San Antonio. I want to start you off with a look at the drought monitor. This is updated each Thursday. This was last week's drought monitor, and this new week's drought monitor, you can kind of see some subtle change, especially west of 35, takes into account those showers and storms that we got beginning last Friday through the weekend. They were very hit or miss. But Cotulla and LaSalle County was actually one of the places that saw some improvement in the drought monitor because of the rain they got late last week and last weekend. But we still really need some rain. Our driest spots here are our counties west of 35, off closer to the border, Maverick County, up to Kinney County and Valverde County as well. So some rain would be nice. Unfortunately, it's going to be pretty sparse. And what also is not great and what kind of seems not fair, potential rainfall through the end of the weekend is really will just be some spotty showers down on the coastal bend, and you guys are doing okay as far as the drought monitor is concerned. And I think this kind of paints a good picture through the weekend. We'll see some afternoon coastal showers possible. Not everyone here will see rain, but there will be the opportunity for some hit or miss showers and non-severe storms, generally southeast of San Antonio as we get into the weekend. So here's your futurecast taking you to tomorrow afternoon, 4 p.m. Again, some we'll see breeze showers developing, trying to move inland. And I do think if one of these thunder showers is going to make it to 35 in San Antonio, tomorrow will be the day, because as we get into Sunday, the winds at the surface will shift a bit, and that will take a lot of the activity kind of due north versus northwest, closer to 35. So don't hold your breath for any rain tomorrow, but can't rule out a little stray thunder shower getting up to I-35 Saturday afternoon. Sunday, not so much. Those rain chances will be limited down to the coastal bend, and you'll see that reflected here in your weekend forecast. Otherwise, nice and hot, upper 70s in the morning, near 100 in the afternoons. Forgot to mention this last half hour could also look a little hazy on Sunday. It's not going to be anything too noticeable, but we will have another little batch of that Saharan dust moving in from the Caribbean as we get into this weekend. You can see that batch kind of approaching as we get into the day tomorrow, and then it'll start to filter into South Texas during the day on Sunday. So certainly not as bad as some of these batches we've seen previously in the year, but can't rule out it looking a little bit hazy as we get into the end of the weekend, but that will filter out even more as we get into the day on Monday. So just something to consider. There are actually a couple more plumes of that dust stretching through the Caribbean out into the Atlantic, likely hindering a lot of development off of Africa from those tropical waves. So really in the Atlantic basin, things are pretty quiet as of now, but there is a disturbance that the Hurricane Center has flagged, but it has really low odds of development over the next 2 to 5 days. So in the short term, quiet in the Atlantic basin, and we will take that because back half of the Atlantic hurricane season is expected to be pretty active. And typically here late August into the middle of September, that's when we see historically a tropical activity peak in the Atlantic basin. So we will be coming up on that peak activity for the Atlantic basin as far as the tropics are concerned here in the next month or so. And of course, we'll keep you updated on all things tropics. But for now, nice and quiet out there, and we'll take that while we can get it. Also nice and hot out there, 91 in San Antonio, heat index of 97. We've already got a couple spots with a heat index above 100 degrees. Their dew point numbers are quite high. They may come down a couple of degrees this afternoon, but it's not going to be anything that really makes much of a difference. So up to 99 this afternoon under mostly sunny skies. A warm but okay evening. We'll keep that breeze around for the rest of the day, and that'll help us out. Stray shower possible tomorrow. Otherwise, better chances of rain down closer to the coast through the middle of next week, guys.
And then the return of the 100.
Oh, don't. Come on. She was all being positive, thinking cool.
I kind of ruined it, didn't I?
Nah, it's all right.
How's Spurs doing?
You ruined it. Wow. Spurs are doing good at last check.
You said that, I did.
Yeah. Spurs in a key matchup against the Jazz. Boy, I'm getting dirty looks right now from Ursula. Hey, Cowboys linebacker Leighton Vander Esch says he is healthy after having neck surgery due to the tackling machine. Plus, Texans wide receiver Brandon Cooks certainly hopes his concussions are behind him. Coming up. Some good basketball. 31-year-old guard and 11-year veteran Patty Mills is doing his best to help mold the young dudes.
Yeah, well, this whole approach is all about them, right? It's for them to be able to play meaningful games, develop the way that we believe they can grow into, and the potential that they have to be able to get better every game. So look, 2 losses in a row obviously is the result, but I think we're playing good basketball. The style that we're playing is good, and guys are getting better. So.
All right, Spurs and Jazz are in the second quarter, and the Spurs are up 44-37 at last check. Derek White had 8 points in the first quarter. Jakob Poeltl 7. Marco Bellinelli 6 off the bench. The Spurs shot 60% in the first quarter. And how about this? Utah guard and Wagner grad Jordan Clarkson 13 points in the first quarter. We'll have highlights and posts starting at 5 and 6. The Wolf Hunter is back. Dallas Cowboys third-year linebacker Leighton Vander Esch says he's ready to play ball. As a rookie in 2018, he led the boys of 140 tackles, earning a Pro Bowl nod. Last season was much different. He played in just 9 games before he was shut down with a neck injury due to spinal stenosis, and still he produced 72 tackles, 5th best on the team. Vander Esch spoke with the media and declared himself good to go after surgery and about 4 months recovery time.
I had surgery middle of January already, so it's been how long? It's been months. I feel like it's been forever already, and I've been training for like 3-4 months hard. I got all my strength back. I'm back and better than I was as far as strength before I got hurt. So everything's going great there. I feel amazing. I'm just excited to be on the field. I changed my pads up a little bit, but as far as protection and everything, I mean, you're a player, so you just kind of got to do things that work for you.
Vander Esch says he will move to middle linebacker from the weak side under new defensive coordinator Mike Nolan, and that Jalen Smith will now play on the weak side. Houston Texans will be relying on both Brandon Cooks and Randall Cobb this season to pick up the slack after trading away DeAndre Hopkins to the Cardinals. Cooks came to 2 games, his 5th concussion in the last 6 seasons. So does that concern him?
I'm not worried at all. If there's any hesitation or worry, I wouldn't be here right now. But, at the end of the day, things happen in this game that you wish don't happen. I'm comfortable and I feel great, and I look forward to continue to just do what I have to do and go out there and give it my all.
What concerns a lot of folks is the fact that Cook suffered 2 concussions in just 25 days last season. Fingers crossed concussions are behind him, guys.
Which is one of the reasons why there's no preseason games.
Right.
Take care of that.
There you go.
All right, Larry, thanks. Speaking of teams, SA Live is talking about their quarantines today, the family of friends that you quarantine with.
I'm on one, actually.
Are you?
Yeah. Who's on your quarantine?
Is it a winner?
Absolutely.
A winning team?
Absolutely.
Yes, I think every quarantine is a winner.
That's a winning team right there.
All right.
You have to be, or else it's going to get really funky really quickly, I'll tell you that.
Well, thank goodness it's Friday and we are revving into the weekend. You can beat the heat and try to beat the clock, putting the pedal to the metal with indoor racing.
Now, you have to plug in some kind of racing meme that you might know or something like that into this, but Jen Tobias-Dresky is down at Andretti Indoor Karting and Games, where she's checking out how they're having fun while staying safe.
Rubbing is racing.
That's right. Being first, you're last.
And how can you make wine even better? Pair it with cheese. We get tips from a pro on how to enjoy your vino this summer, and she even offers a healthy twist.
I love cheese and wine. I think it's the best pairing ever. Now, great shopping. I mean, you can find the most unique gifts. Is it me you're cooking for? That's a great cutting board. We'll fill you in on what you can expect at the upcoming Peddler Show and how you can score. Get this 3 free tickets for you and your family and friends.
And of course, who is on your quarantine? That's our social shout out for the day. We want you to share your pictures and stories of your quarantine at SA Live KSAT on Facebook and Twitter, and you may see your shout out a little later in the show.
That's right. And it may be people that you just had to end up with. You know what I mean? You just got stuck with them, but we want to know. All right, SA Live starts in just a few minutes.